the A&M Alabama game had all of it, man.
Yes.
That was just in the ending, and we'll get to more of that in a bit, but like what a capper for that. That game has really popped for the second year in a row. Just been, you have to watch. You can't take your eyes off.
Absolutely. Well, that's the headliner. Let's just start there. Alabama beat Texas A&M 24-20. Bryce Young and Max Johnson both missing this game. And Alabama, they missed a couple field goals. They had 3 turnovers, I believe.
Yeah.
A&M had a chance last play of the game, incomplete pass. That's skipping a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What were your takeaways from this game, or what did you think about whatever? Yeah, all the different wherever you want to take it. I mean, there's a lot of places to go with this game.
You could go so many different places, but Will Anderson lived in the A&M backfield. He lived there. Like, he didn't have sacks. It wasn't an impressive stat line, but
he's still good at football.
Yes. Spoiler alert, Will Anderson can play. The running attack for A&M needed to be better. Haynes King Haynes King almost threw the ball 50 times. And that kind of tells you, like, if you would have, you're not surprised. You're not surprised that he tried to throw the ball 46 times and then they lost. Like, that was always going to happen. Now, it got super close. That game was, super. Like, they should have won that game. Whatever, doesn't matter. But I think the inability of A&M to run the ball and having to rely on Haynes King so much was kind of the story maybe for me. And then maybe on the flip side, Alabama was able to run the ball. Alabama ran the crap out of the ball. Like Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud. Like, that guy can just go. And you had Jalen Milroe in, and I think I even said in the preview last week that I didn't see much of a drop off for offense. I was wrong. Like, I missed on that. Like, Milroe was good. He's not Bryce Young. I mean, right. And that was evident. A&M was able to really key in on certain like there's certain third downs that like weren't really ever going to go well for Alabama. Some third and mediums, third and longs. That's where A&M could really like jump on us. In that last drive, the last stop that A&M had was a great example for that. A couple of fumbles like kept A&M in it. Like, I don't know. It was weird. Like, we'll talk about the play call at the goal line play call here in a little bit. Like, there's plenty to talk about there. But what did you see? Like, I was impressed with Alabama in this game. I think a lot of people have been kind of piling on Alabama a little bit, saying that, this wasn't a super impressive win. A&M has a really good roster, and they were jacked up to play that game. You had a backup quarterback, and you were able to find another way to win. I think that's really impressive.
Yeah, I think it is. To me, it feels a little bit, I'm not sure how to say this. It almost feels a little bit like I don't know that I learned that much about these schools going forward.
Yeah.
I might have learned a little bit. I do feel like this shows us, like, this is what A&M, like, they could compete at this level.
Sure.
And they don't normally bring it like they did that day.
This makes the App State loss look so much worse. That was at home. Like, you didn't have the quarterback injuries. You didn't have, like, you had way more confidence. You had the crowd on your side. That makes the App State loss just like what was even happening there? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do think that if Bryce Young is in this game, like, they might cover. Like,
okay.
It'd be close. Yeah. Like, I do think that Alabama was clearly the better team. I know they were both missing their starting quarterback, but there's a much bigger drop-off, I think, from Bryce Young to Jalen Milroe than there is for A&M's quarterbacks. Yeah, I do. Like, you kind of nailed it. I mean, Alabama was over 5 yards per carry. A&M was under 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a minor miracle, in my opinion, that they were that close. Like, Will Reichard, who's been Mr. Consistency, like, missed 2 relatively chip shot field goals for him, at least. And so it should have, you could say that it should have been a 10-point game at the end. I don't know. Let's talk about the last play, because, well, first of all, did you feel like A&M was going to score on that last play? You get a one play from the 2-yard line, 3 seconds left. Did you feel like they were going to score?
No, not really. I don't really know what I felt. So they used their best play early, and this is the best. Like, it was pretty much a 2-point conversion. Like, they were at the 2.5-yard line, had a chance to go in to win. 3 seconds left. It was essentially a 2-point conversion, and they had used their best the best play, the best 2-point conversion play ever created, in my opinion, is the play where you roll to the right and the little tight end sneaks way out to all by himself. And he was all by himself on the
Works
whole
every
left side of the
time.
end zone. It never fails, and I don't understand why more people don't run it. But so they had already used that one. So your best bullet was gone, and now you're looking for option 2, 3, like where are you trying to turn? But man, that just wasn't it. He wasn't even gonna. It wasn't gonna be a touchdown even if he caught it.
Yeah.
He wasn't even in the end zone, and then the quarterback just gave him no chance. Evan Stewart, by the way, is a stud.
Yes.
We're not just trying to diss Evan Stewart. He went absolutely off in this game, mossed a dude, and it was just terrific catches.
Moose Muhammad, not bad either.
No, not at all. I was impressed with their wideouts. Dude, they have weapons. I just I don't understand it. Help me understand why. There needs to be some motion. There needs to be at least a stacked bunch of receivers on one side. You at least need to set like 2 or 3 receivers on one side and try to run like a rub route or something to pick a defender off, because you knew it was going to be tight press man coverage on the outside. That was always going to be what Alabama was going to run there.
I did hear something about somebody thought maybe the play was set up for the other side of the field where they did have trips, I believe. Okay. And Alabama showed a good look against it. I don't know if that's actually what happened or not, but I do feel like you have to come up with something better in that situation. You mentioned the rub route. Run it. Dare the refs to throw that flag.
Right.
Or at least throw the ball. If you're not going to do something like that, where it's a shorter throw and you have a bit of a interference, if you will, throw the ball into the end zone at least. Do something like that. That's a really difficult throw, all the way out on the sideline.
Yeah.
If you're going to run that little curl route, run it from the slot where where he actually goes about 5 yards and then comes back. But that was just not it. I know we're amateurs, we're not actual play callers, but actual play callers hated it too. Nobody liked that play call. Just saying.
There was no pre-snap motion, which I think you have to have. You
pre-snap motion is underused anyway.
Agree. Yeah. I can't understand. It'll never make sense to me why they did that. Even a little bit of motion gets the defender's eyes in a different place, slows his reactions, even if it's just by a little bit. That's all you're looking for, is just a sliver. And it was well covered, to be fair, by Alabama. Sure. I didn't think it was really interference. I thought it was just really good physical coverage by Terry and Arnold there in the corner. So, no issue there. It would have been really cool. It would have been really cool had they punched that in and won. It would have been really neat. I was rooting for that to happen. It got close, man. It's all we really wanted out of this game. Was it that's all you can really ask for, is a one play to win the game from the 2-yard line. That's all you can really ask for, especially if you're A&M. A&M is probably going to be 8-4 this year. Yeah. All that said, they're probably going to be 8-4. That's if they do well. 7-5 is, that's likely. They could also go 7-5. So you just looking at the rest of their schedule. It's the SEC West, man. There's not many easy games on there, and they still have a few left. So,
let's run through it. So they have a bye this week, and then they play South Carolina. That's a win. They play Ole Miss. I don't know. They play Florida. They can probably beat Florida. They got Auburn. That's a win. Yeah. They got UMass. That's a win. And then they got LSU. So it is the SEC West, but I do think that Ole Miss and LSU are pretty clearly the 2 toughest ones. And I could see them winning out. I would bet against it. But it does feel like this is an 8-4 team yet again.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams on their remaining schedule that are worse than App State. That are better than App State. So, sure. and A&M lost to them at home as well. So, I think 8-4 is probably likely, and that's going to be interesting. There was A&M fans were going through it this past week leading up to the game. I heard, there's one guy. I think the buyout is famously $90 million, just something astronomical. $87 million is the buyout for Jimbo's contract. They're a hitman's quite a bit cheaper than the buyout. It's hey, fair enough. Yeah, no, I like that. I like where his head's at. We can things are going well. Things are going well there in A&M right now.
Okay, let's move on to another game that we were high on, but it didn't quite live up to the hype. Mississippi State 40, Arkansas 17. No KJ Jefferson in this game for Arkansas. They played a couple of different quarterbacks. None of it really seemed to work.
No.
I would say they still did. Their defense did give up 40 points. Some of that is probably just on the inability of the offense to keep the ball for long periods of time.
Sure.
But yeah, we've talked. It's been kind of a known thing for a while now that Arkansas secondary is a little weak this year.
Mm-hmm.
And Mississippi State is really good at throwing the ball. So those are a strength and weakness that don't go well together. Any major takeaways from this, or is it basically as simple as KJ Jefferson was hurt?
KJ Jefferson was hurt, but Arkansas, who is kind of famous for getting sacks and getting after the quarterback, had 0 in this game.
Yeah.
And against Mississippi State and against that offense and against that quarterback, Will Rogers has been really good. If you have 0 sacks against that guy, he's going to absolutely carve you up. You give Leach all the time in the world to figure out what he wants to do, and he's not scared. He wasn't. He wasn't worried about anything. So Mississippi State is a really good football team. They're just a really good football team. I like what they do. I mean, I'm convinced that they're going to have a game or two yet where Mike Leach does what Leach does, and that's just not show up for a game that they're supposed to.
It already happened. The LSU game. Mississippi State is better than LSU.
That's right. 5-1 though for Mississippi State. Arkansas falls to 3-3. Arkansas has had 3 tough losses in a row, man. These have been just gut punches, and they go to Provo to play BYU this week, so not getting easier for them.
Right.
But you're right. It did not live up to the expectation. I thought it was going to be a phenomenal game.
Yeah. Okay, another blowout in the SEC that we can't blame quarterback injuries on. Tennessee 40, LSU 13. This was an absolute boat racing. Tennessee looks pretty legit. Their offense was playing well, but the surprise actually was their defense played well as well.
Yeah, they got after the quarterback really well. Jaden Daniels he had to throw the ball 45 times. That's not going to be his strength. LSU's not going to be good when he's having to throw the ball that much. Mm-hmm. They couldn't run the ball. So that just shows you that Tennessee completely dominated up front. I will say it in some ways, you'd rather them look a little less impressive against LSU because Tennessee has to go home and then Alabama comes to their place this next week. So it'd be nice if they could still be kind of flying under the radar a little bit. But it was a really impressive, just all around performance. They dominated this game. They were absolutely the better team. The score wasn't even really the game wasn't even as close as the score made it look at the end. So 40-13 was the final, and it could have been a lot worse. Yeah. LSU is actually 4-2. This isn't devastating for LSU. They're fine. They're going to be okay. But I think it was more just showing everyone that Tennessee's legit. They're really, really good.
They are really good. If you look at their schedule, obviously they have to play Alabama and Georgia, but I don't think there's another game where they're not a clear favorite.
Yeah.
So what about LSU looking at it from their side? They are 4-2, like you mentioned. And we already mentioned that we feel like they probably should have lost to Mississippi State. They did not, though. That win still counts.
Right.
I just want to look at their future schedule. We'll talk about the Florida game. And they play Ole Miss. They play Alabama. They play Arkansas. They play UAB and Texas A&M. Yeah. It's a tough schedule down the stretch. What do you think just today on October 10th, without putting more than 4 seconds of thought into it, what do you think their final record will be?
Yeah, I'm probably 8-4. Okay. I actually think 8-4 is pretty. 7-5, I think for me, 7-5 is about the worst that it goes. I think this week against Florida is a huge game for them. They go to the Swamp, play Florida. For me, LSU and Florida are kind of two programs in about the same spot. They've first year head coaches. It's starting out. It's a little rough, and sometimes, but they have promise too. They're showing flashes of being really good. So I think it's going to be a really big matchup for both schools, LSU and Florida, this week. So, and I think that their season kind of hinges on this game a little bit because they're not going to beat Alabama. I don't think they're going to beat Alabama. They probably won't beat Ole Miss. The other games on there, Arkansas and A&M, are they're winnable games, but they're not going to be just huge favorites in those games. So They have a lot of coin flip games left. And I think they'll win some. I think they'll lose some. I think the Florida game is kind of where it hinges on this week for LSU.
I agree. Honestly, if they find a way to lose to Florida, then you're starting to get worried, honestly, just about making a bowl. They have the UAB game, which they should beat UAB, but they're not bad. And they have they have a few other games that they can win, but they're probably underdogs in. So, I know for LSU, like, you didn't hire Brian Kelly to be awesome in year one, but it would be nice to make a bowl game and get those 15 extra practices. So,
no doubt. I think they will. Like, I really believe that they will. I think they actually have a chance to sneak up on Ole Miss. Like, I think Ole Miss, I think they have a really decent possibility of sneaking up and surprising Ole Miss in 2 weeks. So, yeah, something to keep your eye. I think LSU will be fine.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. Okay. TCU 38, Kansas 31. This was a fun matchup. It was very, there was just playmakers making plays the whole game. Jalen Daniels went out with an injury, but his backup Jason Bean came in and threw 4 touchdowns. I think TCU is legit. We saw their receiver, Quentin Johnston, just go off. We talked about him a little bit in the preseason, and he finally had like that great game that we were waiting on. Kansas, though, like, they are legit. I don't think that they're legit for what we thought they were. As far, like, I think they're probably a top 25 team. Like, it's borderline, but they were not a fraudulent team. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, maybe not fraudulent. I don't think they're not excellent. Like, they're not they're not the class of the Big 12.
Right.
There's a reason why Oklahoma's favored over them. Does that make sense? Oklahoma got absolutely crunched this past week. Absolutely crunched. And Oklahoma's a favorite against Kansas this week. 7 points. And that made, like, I think that's fairly accurate. Kansas they've way exceeded preseason expectations. I mean, completely blown those expectations.
Doubled their win total.
Yeah, already. It's in second week of October, and they've like 5 wins already. That's massive. It would have taken some other coaches there a couple of years to get 5 wins, and they did it here in just 6-7 weeks. So, it's awesome for them. For me, I don't think I'd put them in the top 25. I don't. There's a lot of love. Everyone's trying to, they're undefeated. We have to put them in the, to the top 10. They might as well go in the top 10. No, like, let's not be funny here. It's still Kansas. They don't have much talent there. They don't. Like, they have some decent players, but there's not much depth. So, let's just wait let's just see how the rest of the season plays out. They have a lot of tough games left. They have, Oklahoma, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Texas, Texas Tech, and Kansas State still left.
Yeah.
So you're right. They won some games, but those teams weren't that good. Those teams were not that great that they beat. So let's just give it some time.
They can lose every game remaining on their schedule. I think there's they have a slight chance against all of those teams as well. Like, and that's something for for Kansas. Like, that means something, that they actually have a chance to win all those games. Right. TCU, let's talk about them a little bit. Are they the favorites in the Big 12, or at least the favorites to make the Big 12 title game? I mean, it's Texas, Oklahoma State, TCU. You still have, maybe a Baylor finds a way, or like whatever. Like, probably not.
Yeah, I would lean probably TCU or Texas. I guess you could say Oklahoma State. I mean, TCU does play Oklahoma State this week.
Yes.
And we'll find out a lot. We'll find out a lot about both of these schools then. Texas is really good, man. I would probably lean Texas over TCU. But hey, what a start for TCU though, too. Like, we talk about some of like these new regimes, and some of them just click. They just get right in, and like in year 1, year 2, like for Heupel at Tennessee, it's year 2. It starts to really click in. It just goes. So like, that's awesome. That's awesome for TCU. They've once proud program, kind of fallen on some hard times, kind of getting it back to where they should be.
Yeah, their offensive coordinator, Garrett Riley, really doing a great job. Maybe Oklahoma could hire him.
Too much water under the bridge there. No, too much. I don't think there's given the way Oklahoma's played the last couple of weeks, I don't think the attitude has gotten better for Lincoln Riley or any Riley. Yeah, in Norman, Oklahoma. That was ugly.
Well, let's talk about it. Texas beats Oklahoma 49-0, and the reason it wasn't worse is because time ran out. Texas just absolutely demolished them. Now, we should mention, of course, Dylan Gabriel was out for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So that would have made it, 49-21?
Yeah.
Texas was far and away the better team here. They just looked – there was nothing Oklahoma could do. Like, this says something clearly about both teams. Let's start with Texas. How good is Texas? Because it wasn't long ago we saw them losing to Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Just after they had almost beaten Alabama with their backup quarterback. They're pretty good, right?
I'll say this. If Quinn Ewers had never gotten hurt, Texas is probably 6-0 right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's a really good chance they're 6-0. Quinn Ewers he's the man. Like, he's the dude.
So good.
And we have to talk about Texas first. For me, this game was probably more about Oklahoma than Texas, even though I was really impressed with just the all around performance from them. Texas it was so dominant. It was, I wonder where that performance was against Texas Tech, because even with a backup quarterback in that game, Texas, they've shown you how much talent they have. Look at the running back. Look at their receivers. The defense was flying around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much to say. Like, Oklahoma had 39 yards passing, 2 interceptions. Like, that's incredible that your defense is going off like that. So, Texas should be 6-0. I think they're a really good team. They're legitimate. For me, I would probably give them the nod as the best team in the Big 12 right now. And there's a lot of games out there to play still. But if Ewers stays healthy, I would be confident with them.
Yeah. This did show us a little bit what their ceiling looks like when they're clicking.
Yes.
And it's very high.
Yeah.
Their floor should be a bit higher too, but it's a work in progress, I guess. Oklahoma side of things. Yeah. Go ahead.
The defense, man. We have to Brent Venables is a defensive dude. He always has been. Every Clemson defense, even if they weren't as talented as some of the other defenses that they were compared to or went up against or played against, that at least Venables' defense, they fought. They would come out and they you knew that it was going to be 100% effort. He coached with 100% effort. It was like he was losing his mind sometimes on the sideline. They looked it was awful. They've in the last 3 games, they've given up almost 50 points in each of those games.
Yeah.
Almost 50. This isn't the old Big 12. This is TCU put up 55, Kansas State put up 51, and Texas put up 49. Those are their last 3 football games. I don't have much else for you. Kansas State does not have a juggernaut of an offense. We've seen that in recent weeks. TCU's offense is good, but they're not 55 points good. I don't understand it. If something went drastically wrong between weeks 3 and 4, I guess. And I don't know what's going to happen. This is not a good look. He had such a great start, Venables did.
Yeah.
At his first 3 weeks, they looked like a playoff team.
Yeah.
And this team, they might make a bowl. They might make a bowl game.
Right. It's crazy. We really thought early on that things were just making so much sense with their team. You had Jeff Lebby running the offense.
That's right.
And it's just collapsed. And you're probably right to zero in on the defense because, Alex Grinch had this defense playing better than this.
Right.
And we don't like Alex Grinch.
No, I know.
Jeff Lebby we like, but it's been rough sledding the last couple weeks. And today, it's unacceptable for Oklahoma to score 0 points, even if their starting quarterback is out. There's just no way that can happen. The best thing they had going for them was a little bit of wildcat action. And every time it started working for a couple first downs, they would move out of it.
You see the nice little jump pass that they did, too? They pulled off a sweet little jump pass.
Oh, it was so bad.
Directly to the linebacker. No, the offense, you can't throw for 39 yards with two picks. No touchdowns, obviously. They got shut out. 39 yards passing. Can't do it. Cannot do it. But even if you had 0 yards passing and you didn't attempt a pass all game long and you just ran the ball, they should still at least be able to put up a touchdown. They should. Yep. Oklahoma has too much talent not to. They should have scored points. They should have been able to get a touchdown or 2 just simply running the ball, and they didn't. And that's concerning. Like that means that some people are quitting, it feels like, on that team right now.
All right, let's talk about some happier things. UCLA beat Utah 42-32. UCLA 6-0. They are humming along right now. Utah known for their play up front, of course, but UCLA seemed like they kind of won the battle in the trenches, and they put up 42 points. DTR is playing as well as we've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you take away from this game? What did you see in this game that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I think the ability for Charbonnet to run for 200 yards against a really good Utah front seven. Mm-hmm. Like Utah's physical, and Utah is going to try to stop the run, and they're going to try to run the ball. They ran the ball okay. They did. It was okay. But I mean, they were far outrushed by UCLA. That was impressive. DTR, and we've kind of been fans of his, I think, for a little while. Like DTR, like he has, or I have been. Sorry, sure. I won't lump you in there too. I have been a fan of his.
I've been up and down on him over the years.
Well, just like he's played, by the way, up and then down. But yeah, it's been consistent. It's been this was a classic game where he would have just a stinker, and he didn't. Like he showed up and he took care of the ball. Well, they didn't throw the ball just a ton, but he still threw for almost 300 and 4 touchdowns. He's a player too. Like if you watch the game, he's fired up. He's always jawing at the other team, which I kind of like and I kind of don't. Like, I'd like him to play maybe a little bit of a better defense and then try to jaw at them. But hey, I'm not sure who the best team in Los Angeles is right now, but there's no guarantee that it's USC. Right. Like, I think that last game, UCLA, USC, I think it will be very interesting.
Absolutely. And DTR, I just pointed out, like, he's kind of known for his running game. He has 231 rushing yards this year. It's nothing spectacular, but his passing this year, 75% completions, 15 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, 9.3 yards per attempt. Those are really good numbers. If he continues to play like that, and I should have started with Zach Charbonnet. I mean, you mentioned him. Props to you. 198 yards in this game, 9 yards per carry.
Huge.
You're not going to beat UCLA too often with those two guys clicking like that. They're a very dangerous team right now.
UCLA gives you games like this where you remember how good Chip Kelly was at Oregon and what that rushing attack was and that offense was and how cool it was. Yeah. Like, and what a genius that Kelly can be. So I hope they stay consistent. Even if they lose some games, I want them to keep that same energy. Like I'm a fan of the way they play. It's really cool.
Yep. Okay, another Pac-12 matchup. Arizona State beats Washington 45-38. Washington at the beginning of the year was unbeatable, and they've really kind of slid the last couple of weeks. Arizona State, like, this is a little bit shocking, isn't it?
like where you fire your coach and suddenly you're a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like is that what you mean? Yeah. No, it's when you have assistant coaches giving out information to the opposing team, which is at least what was rumored to happen at Arizona State. Yeah, it seems like it could only go up from there. But this was a big win for them. They're 2-4 now. I think because we had a big argument in the preseason about whether they would hit their over or under, and I it's going to be close, man. Their next two games are Stanford and Colorado. Like, those are very winnable games, and I think they have Arizona yet too. So I like them. It's competitive. All you can ask from a team that's it's a lost season for the Sun Devils. It's a lost season. You can just ask for players to be competitive and to fight and to show. Just you're looking for something for the future. Is all you're looking for. You're looking for just some competition there. And this is a really big win. And on the Washington side of it, this was rough. Washington was looking so good just a couple of weeks ago, and the back-to-back losses have been. This was one you can't have.
Yeah, it's their offense, I think, is still fine, but their defense needs some work, clearly. All right, Ohio State beats Michigan State 49-20. Was definitely not that close. I believe they scored touchdowns on 7 of their first 8 possessions, and the other one was a pick 6. Also, like, they're doing all this year without Jackson Smith at Jigba.
Emeka Ibuka had 143. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 131. These are receiving yards.
Yeah, with 3 touchdowns, correct?
Yeah, correct. 4 touchdowns between the two of them. Mm-hmm. Julian Fleming, I hate that we just kind of leave Fleming. Yeah. Like, he doesn't get included in any of these conversations, even though he's a pretty good receiver. 81 yards, another touchdown. Yeah, Travion Henderson had nice game. He ran for 118, another touchdown. CJ Stroud, 6 touchdowns. The offense is good. Confirmed. The offense is good for the Ohio State Buckeyes. They're going to be a tough out for anybody. The defense, I didn't get to watch much of their defense. I did see that Michigan State just completely abandoned running the football, like completely abandoned for the second year in a row. Like, they're going to try to go throw for throw with Ohio State. I will never understand that strategy. You can't make me understand that strategy. You have to do it.
They average 0.3 yards per carry.
No, I know, but you have to do something else. Like, you have to go and try to get some screens, they're not actual running plays, but it's pretty much an extension of the running game where you're throwing either wide receiver screens or like a little running back screen, tight ends. You have to do something. You have to do something to try to slow the clock down, especially in the first half. You can't let Ohio State come out and put 35 points on your defense in the first half. It's not going to be competitive. Like, you have no chance.
Yeah. Is Ohio State the best team in the country right now?
Right now, yeah. I think yes. I don't know if they have the ceiling as some of the other teams do. I think when Alabama's right, Alabama has the highest ceiling in the country for me.
Yeah.
But right now, yeah, Ohio State they're the healthiest, which helps a lot, even though you're missing Smith and Jigba. But I mean, yeah, running backs, quarterbacks, you have 4 other really good receivers, you're fine. So yeah, and the defense is improved. We'll say it's improved over last year. So
yep.
Yeah, right now for me. You? How about you?
I think so. Kind of the way you answered it. Right now, yes, I think they're the best team. Doesn't mean I would necessarily pick them to beat Alabama or Georgia at the end of the year, but right now they look like a train just rolling along.
They do.
Okay. Notre Dame beats BYU 28-20. The Catholics are victorious against the Mormons in Sin City. Pretty good game. Did you get any eyes on this one? As I'm sure you were watching Alabama A&M all evening. But.
Yeah, I was able to watch a bit of it. You have to tune in at least for a little bit for the uniforms. The uniforms were a little crazy in this game. But yeah, I didn't watch it. I'm sure you watched pretty much every play. I was not able to watch quite as in depth. Yeah, I mean, I think Vegas, again, just smarter than the rest of us. No one would have, if you didn't know what the line was and that Notre Dame was favored by 3, you would have said BYU by a touchdown. I mean, Notre Dame's lost to Marshall this year. Like, is Notre Dame that good? Yeah, Vegas knows more than us. And they sniffed this one out. Notre Dame was the favorite. Notre Dame won. Notre Dame covered. Even though I didn't bet on the game, but if I would have, I probably would have put money on BYU. So yeah, it's a credit to Vegas. How'd you feel like, just as a Notre Dame fan? How'd the game go for you?
It actually went about like I expected. I did expect Notre Dame to cover by a little bit. They were up 25-6 at one point in the second half. Both of their lines were controlling the game.
Yeah.
The running backs were playing well, all 3 of them. Michael Mayer was shattering records in this game.
Yes, he was.
He was just a beast. And they finally got some decent receiver play. Lorenzo Styles and Jaden Thomas had some big plays. I feel like maybe the most underrated thing about Notre Dame so far this year is Drew Pine is balling.
Yeah.
He started out 4 for 9 against Cal in his first start. And his teammates said, he was nervous. Like you don't normally hear people literally call out their quarterback like that. But he was nervous and clearly was playing like trash his first start. Since he started 4 for 9 against Cal in a little over 2.5 games, he is completing 77% of his passes. He has 1 interception. It was a tip ball at the line of scrimmage that happened to go right to a BYU defender. He's going through progressions. Now, it helps when you have 19 seconds to throw it because their offensive line is playing very well right now.
Yeah.
contrary to what we saw against Ohio State and Marshall. Like it's almost like they flipped a switch. It's so weird. Yeah, I think if Notre Dame played Marshall right now, they would probably win by 21 points.
Sure. All you really need to know in this game is the total yardage. Notre Dame had almost 500 and BYU had 280. So you almost doubled them from a yardage standpoint. Yeah, the game was actually not as close as the score would indicate.
No, it was not. Yeah, I would say that Notre Dame they're kind of rounding into what I thought they would be before the season started. Okay. I think if they continue to improve, continue to kind of go on this trajectory, like they actually have a chance against Clemson and USC.
Yeah.
Probably aren't going 10-2 because that would mean winning both of those games. But I do think that 9-3 is more likely than 7-5.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think if their offensive line was playing as well against Ohio State as they are now, like it was probably is what we were expecting. Like they could have won that game.
Yeah, exactly. All right, NC State beat Florida State 19-17. Kind of a weird, fluky game, if you will. Just a lot of weirdness. I don't know. Is there a better way to describe it at all? Maybe you didn't get to watch much of this.
Watched very little. I watched very little of this one. And yeah, I think there were, how many missed field goals were they? Was there? No, this was the punt returns, right? Yeah, there wasn't the missed field goals. This was like they had I think Florida State had a fake punt return where they were able to go get like 50 yards off of like a neat little trick play that they had set up. That was about all I really saw from this game. Mm-hmm. How about you? Did you get to watch much?
Not a whole lot. Devin Leary got hurt in the second half, and they refused to pass the ball after he got hurt. Like I think they had two other passes attempted, and they completed one of them for -5 yards. So
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And they run the ball too much even with Devin Leary.
I know. So I know. They're like Pitt. They've regressed as an offense.
Yeah. I don't know that there's just a ton to take away from this game. It's weird. We're halfway through the season, and I still feel like we don't have a great handle on who NC State is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, some of the other scores, I'll just run through them. Oklahoma State beat Texas Tech 41-31. That one was tight for a while.
Yeah. Georgia
beat Auburn 42-10. Any quick thoughts on that as the Georgia fan here?
No, I think it was needed. That was a much needed blowout for Georgia after not looking good in back-to-back weeks. Mm-hmm. Georgia is a good football team, and it was confirmed again.
Yeah. North Carolina beat Miami 27-24. I think they're probably in the driver's seat for that division. Miami is definitely still a year or two away. Like I think Mario Cristobal needs to continue to recruit because they're missing some things there.
Okay.
South Carolina beat Kentucky 24-14 without Will Levis. Anything to take away from that result, or is it just as simple as Kentucky had no Will Levis?
Well, yeah, it shows how much he covers for them on offense.
Yeah,
like South Carolina doesn't have very good defense. He only put up 14 points against a not very good defense. So yeah, Will Levis covers that team.
Yeah. Kansas State beat Iowa State 10-9 in an absolute rock fight. I hope no one had to watch too much of that.
Iowa State, they get in these on the regular, don't they?
They're kind of like Iowa, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. I do want to look at this. So they beat Iowa 10-7. They lost to Kansas 14-11, and now they lost to Kansas State 10-9. So yeah, just some absolute fist fights that they get into.
Maybe we should be looking at Iowa State unders now.
I like it.
Yeah.